What's up? It's Gabriel Pluguez here from Default Kings, and these are the 7 must-do exercises to look more muscular in any $9 t-shirt. Now, quick disclaimers before we dive into this video. If you are not a man or if you're easily offended, then please leave this page. Reason being is that the exercises I'm going to talk about are the exercises that I recommend specifically for men. I own Default Kings. I'm the founder, and we've helped over 350 men like Alex here lose an average of 30.1 pounds in 12 weeks or less while building muscle. And so these exercises are specific recommendations for men. Also, a huge part of what we do is teach the psychology to make sure that you are consistent with your healthy habits. And what that means is I'm going to require you to take some ownership, and easily offended men just cannot take ownership. And so if you're currently an easily offended soy boy, then I don't want this to hurt your feelings and for you to run away from fitness for the rest of your life. I want you to come open-minded. So if you can take some ownership, then come back to this channel. But if not, then please leave. So let's dive right into it. The first exercise that I recommend making sure that you have in place specifically to look better in a t-shirt is dips with your elbows tucked in. That's the essential detail here. Dips with your elbows tucked in. Here's a little video of what that looks like. So dips, it doesn't really matter if it's on a machine or assisted or free weight or weighted, are the exercise here where you see that the primary motion taking place is this elbow joint bending. And the closer your actual upper arm bone is to your body, the more shortened this tricep muscle becomes. The tricep here, the long head actually somewhat attaches here behind your body. So it does this action of pulling your arm in. So if you do dips with your arms tucked into your body, your elbows tucked into your body, that tricep is going to be a bit more active, and it's going to really fill up the long head of that tricep that takes up a lot of that kind of sleeve portion of the t-shirt, right? So that you're filling up the t-shirt with kind of that meaty long head. If you see here in this picture, and again, this is really getting to the details of the subtleties, but if you see the amount of distance that's just taken up at this end of the sleeve because of the size of that long head tricep, okay, which comes a lot from doing dips with your elbows tucked in. Pretty good principle overall for your tricep training is to keep your elbows tucked in. Again, the long head's going to be more active, and you'll be filling up that really, really meaty part of your arm that just gives it kind of that thicker look, right? So elbows tucked in there on the dips. Second thing is going to be incline pressing. So I do recommend doing incline press over flat pressing specifically for that kind of t-shirt feeling look, not because there's a night and day difference between incline pressing and flat pressing. In fact, I generally switch between both. But I do give a slight edge to incline pressing. The reason I give a slight edge to incline pressing is because if we look at the chest anatomy muscles, if you look at the anatomy of the chest musculature here, the chest is going to have muscle fibers that run in that upwards direction. So they literally, the direction of those muscle fibers is at this angle. And so when you're in an incline press, it forces your upper arm to travel in that more upward angle. If you take a look at this right here, right? In flat bench press, our arms are going more across our bodies. In an incline, we're tucked in and we're going more upwards. And so there is going to be a slight advantage to training these fibers that run in an upwards direction when you have an incline press in place. And when you have those upward running fibers really, really well developed, I'll just show you something right here. It creates this level of fullness in the chest, this level of roundness in the chest, right? It just takes up more space up top. And that's literally going to fill out that shirt sleeve and kind of make it pop. And shirtless too, of course. It is absolutely amazing. But that upper chest is extremely vital when it comes to the actual silhouette that your muscle tissue builds when you're walking around in a t-shirt or naked. So prioritize that incline pressing. Again, make sure that when you're doing it, the chest is popped out in front of the, that your sternum is popped out as much as possible, and it stays in front of the shoulder joint while you're pressing. Big mistake I see people making is when they do their pressing, they'll take that shoulder joint in front of the actual sternum, and that creates a ton of shoulder issues, a ton of injuries. You don't want that happening because injuries could be one of the main things that sidelines you from doing this consistently. So Make sure the sternum is in front of the shoulder joint and prioritize incline pressing. Next one here is lateral raises. Lateral raises. So when I say lateral raises, what I'm talking about is essentially a side shoulder raise, right? There are a ton of different names for this, but the lateral raise is what's going to really give you an X frame so that you look broad shouldered in any t-shirt, right? A lot of people talk about how this broad shouldered aesthetic is what's more appealing to women, is what is comes across as more masculine. It makes someone look strong. It makes someone look athletic. But we often think that there are men that are just born with broader shoulders and that's the only limit. And that is true. There are men that are born with literally wider and longer clavicles, right? And shoulder girdles from just a bone structure standpoint. But what people don't tell you is that no matter how narrow your actual shoulder girdle is, the bones that structure your shoulder girdle, you can add on distance to that shoulder girdle by having larger side delts, larger lateral delts. Okay. So it's important to prioritize lateral raises for sure. When you guys are doing your lateral raises, I want to just recommend something really quickly here. I do personally recommend that you prioritize lateral raises with a cable or with a machine over dumbbells. The reason being is because with dumbbells, a dumbbell is going to be heaviest at this point where your muscle is weakest, and there's going to be absolutely no load at this point where your muscle is strongest. And so the resistance profile of a dumbbell lateral raise doesn't really match the strength profile of your muscle, which means that you are moving your body without getting a ton of work done. When you do a cable, you see that the resistance is actually greatest here at the bottom and it actually gets easier at the top. And that follows the strength curve of your muscle. And so what that means is for every rep that you do with a cable lateral raise, you're getting more work per rep out compared to a dumbbell lateral raise, which is just going to grow your side delts quicker, more efficiently. And again, big side delts, they matter in terms of your aesthetics, right? Like there's just no real way of arguing against the effect that your side delts have on your actual appearance, right? If we look here, like all of this entire mass here is taken up really by the side delt. And if that wasn't there, then this picture would be a lot less significant in terms of the pop that shoulder girdle has. So prioritize side delts for sure. Fourth thing here is going to be preacher curls. Okay, preacher curl. So preacher curl, there's really, only very minor differences between using a machine or using dumbbells. But when I say preacher curl, I mean any curl with this pad here, with this table that your elbow is resting on. The reason I specifically recommend a preacher curl over any other curl, although other curls are fine, but this is the best, is because when it comes to bicep exercises, no bicep exercise has a higher degree of bracing than a preacher bicep curl. Okay, bracing is your body's ability to remain stable. And the more stable your body is, the more force the muscle can produce, right? We all know Newton's law. I can't remember exactly what the law is called, but it's one of the laws where essentially every single action has an equal and opposite reaction, right? Let's look it up. Every action, okay. The law, Newton's third law, action and reaction. For every action of force in nature, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that's absolutely true here with the preacher bench. Every time that, or for every ounce of force that you are producing with your elbow straight into the preacher bench, there's an equal amount of force produced back into your arm for you to be able to curl that bicep more effectively. So your muscle is literally more capable of being stronger, lifting heavier weight, producing more force, and therefore getting bigger faster using a preacher bench compared to bicep curls without some sort of support. So highly, highly recommend using some sort of preacher bicep curl. Please do not mind the masks in these videos. This is when we were in the freaking scamdemic and they were going to shoot me out back if I didn't log in with a freaking mask. But anyway, rows or pull downs next. The reason I'm saying rows or pull downs for number 5 is because the significant detail here is not that it's a row for your back or a pull down for your back. The significant detail is that it is either with your elbows in or with your elbows out. Okay. Either with your elbows in or elbows out. So what I mean by that is this: when your elbows are in, okay, that line of force with your elbows being pulled in, whoops, video within a videoception, is going to be more aligned with the fibers of your latissimus dorsi, which are your lats, right? The lats are really the muscles of your back that are going to give you the width, okay? And I do think that the width is huge when it comes to your appearance in a t-shirt, right? When you think about a t-shirt and how it just kind of rests and lays on somebody from behind, you can kind of tell that they're really athletic. A lot of that comes from their lats literally filling this space between rib cage and armpit, right? So it's really important to prioritize your lats, and the way you do that, whether you're doing rows or pull downs, is by tracking your elbows inward, okay? Now, the sixth exercise here is a row or pull down with your elbows out. Okay, so just as important as it is to train the latissimus dorsi with your elbows tucked in, it's just as equally freaking important to track with your elbows out. Okay, that's because there are muscle fibers across the back that also run across, and tracking with your elbows out is going to track better on the direction of those muscle fibers. Okay, a lot of the muscle fibers that make you look thick are going to be the ones that run across, right? With your trapezius, with your rhomboids, the muscles that really move the shoulder blades. If you can see my shoulder blades rounding forward and squeezing, really squeezing at the back of this exercise with my elbows out, that's significant. Those muscles themselves are really going to create the distance from your t-shirt, between your t-shirt and your spinal cord, right? Like the inches of depth that your t-shirt rests off of your back, right, from your spinal cord. If you look at the line of my spinal cord, like it's kind of in line with the middle of my neck here, right? And you see the amount of distance between that spine and the back of my t-shirt. That's because of those very thick muscles that are trained when your elbows are tracking out during your rows. So make sure you're implementing both, elbows in and elbows out. And the last exercise required is deadlifts. Okay. When I say deadlifts, I don't mean that it has to be a barbell deadlift. Okay. I'm talking about any sort of heavy hip hinge exercise. So it could be a barbell deadlift. It could be a Romanian deadlift. It could be a trap bar deadlift. It could be a rack pull. It could be a deficit deadlift. It could be a dumbbell deadlift. The importance here is that you're doing some type of deadlift. Okay. Deadlifts are so significant because what they're going to do is they're going to put more force on the traps compared to any other exercise humanly possible. Okay. The traps here. The reason they do that is because essentially the trap's job is to move the shoulder blade back and forth and down, of course, but it is also to keep the upper arm bone just attached to the body, right? Like the reason that your upper arms aren't ripping off of your body when you carry something is because of this attachment of the trap to the upper arm upwards here to the spine, to the neck, right? So when you do exercises where you're holding extreme amounts of load in your hands, like a deadlift, you are essentially trying to rip your arm off your body, and the trap is the only thing holding it on. So it's a massive amount of tension on the trap, and it is the best way to grow your traps. I actually never, ever do shrugs as a separate exercise. I did for a little bit period of time when I was a teenager, but I never do shrugs, and my traps are, definitely one of the strong points of my physique. I think the best, most efficient way to do it is by training with extreme loads being held in your hands, attempting to rip the arms off your body. Okay. So heavy deadlifts required. It's going to fill up the shirt a lot. I mean, like if you just look at this right here, the amount of space that the traps take up in that t-shirt is ridiculous. It is ridiculous, right? If those traps were not there and this t-shirt just rested on my clavicle, the appearance of this silhouette in a t-shirt would be way different. So train your heavy deadlifts. Now, I want to give you guys a free gift with this YouTube video. Okay. I'm going to give you Mr. Alex's program here. Alex has lost, I believe it's a little over 40 pounds, 46 pounds. And he travels quite a bit for work, and you see that he's developing a lot of those muscles. The upper chest is coming in. The side delts are exploding. His traps are getting bigger. His triceps, you can see his triceps from in front of his body when those are muscles that are behind his body. So lost 46 pounds, built a ton of muscle. And in this awesome resource, We give you his entire training program with all of the form videos linked with the rest time, with the recommended reps in reserve, everything that you can possibly need. And so I'm going to link this below. You'll see the link in the description. If you want his training program that he used to lose 46 pounds of fat while building muscle, while traveling the world for work, then please just click that link below and then enter your info, and it'll send it like right to your email. So yeah, guys, that is pretty much it. If you want direct help with this, then you can also book a call with my team below. And what they'll be able to do is have a more in-depth discussion about the customization you need to a protocol like this. Because every single situation is different. And of course, this is an outline. Plus, they're going to help you break down what are some of the psychological barriers that are keeping you from training consistently. Because I'm aware that so many men actually have a general idea of what to do here already, but they just don't do it consistently. And that's really what we specialize in helping people do. So if you want direct help with that from me, then you can book a call below with my team, and they'll help you figure out how to possibly reach your goals. So guys, love you all. Have an amazing freaking day. Share this video, like this video, save this video, bookmark this video. I'm super new to YouTube, so I'm going to be coming with some more high quality content, with some better edited content, and just continue to try to deliver the value. But I really wanted to get this out to everybody because I know this information is very useful. So have an amazing day. Talk to you guys soon. Love y'all.